bisect a line segment. Bisect means cut in half. So we're going to cut this segment in half, not by measuring, but by using a compass. So we're going to take the pointy end and put it on C. And then we want to make sure that the other side of the compass, the pencil side, is somewhere beyond halfway and not past D or on D. So somewhere in between. So that's somewhere in between. And I want to draw this big swooping arc from the bottom all the way across the line up to the top. And then I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing from point D. So I'm going to put the pointy part on D and swoop that pencil side all the way around to the other side. So I should get these two arcs that overlap. I like to label as I go along. So I've got C, D. I'm going to call this point E. Call this point F. And what we're doing with those is we're going to draw a line through F, from F through E. Or in this case, actually through both of them. So I've got a line EF now. And that line EF comes through and cuts that original segment into two congruent parts. So I'm going to put those there that indicate that those are congruent. But I should really have this point in the middle. Next letter in the alphabet is G, so that's point G. So CG is congruent to GD. Okay, so what happened? This line came in and cut this in half. It's called a bisector. So how about I write that down? So I have line EF is a bisector of, and it cuts CD in half of CD. So that's definitely one thing that I know. And he came through and cut it in half, which means that this segment and this segment are congruent. So segment CG is congruent to segment GD. So I know that. So CG segment is congruent to GD segment. That's the second thing I know from there. And almost every single time where we say that segments are congruent, we can say that their lengths are the same. So CG is equal to GD, where CG and GD talk about what the actual length is if we measured it. So those are three things that we know about what we just did. There are more things that we know, but for this, those are the ones that we're going to care about the most. You could have also said that G is the midpoint.